As I've traveled around the world, I have met some incredible people, all unique, and each one I've found has a story. We all have stories. And I've also found that every time we have dark moments in our lives, no matter what they may be, we'll always find a hope revealed. Welcome to Hope Revealed.
Hi, I'm Bobby Umar. I'm a professional speaker and coach and consultant. I focus mostly on areas of leadership development and soft skill development, but I'm known for talking about authentic connection and networking, personal branding, employee engagement, people development, thought leadership, and social media digital influence. I also run DYPB, Discovery Personal Brand, which is a startup dedicated to helping individuals and organizations find more impact, focus, and clarity in their lives and in their professions. And I basically speak around the world and talk at conferences, companies, organizations to deliver training and talks around things that I care about to help them, find more fulfillment and find more focus in their lives. And I also run several programs. I run a coaching program for up and coming professional speakers, as well as people who want just basic speaking confidence. I also have a personal branding program as a networking program. And I love what I do, and I do what I love, and I've been doing it for a long time. Oh, I should also add that I'm a bit of a social media influencer too. I have over 500,000 followers across Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. And I use that influence for good to talk about empathy, connection, try to, call out bullies, and to really help people connect on a more deeper, authentic level.
Hey everybody, this is Matt Crump, and welcome back to another episode of Hope Revealed. I'm pretty excited to have an awesome fellow here by the name of Bobby Umar. Many of you have heard of him and followed him. Maybe some of you haven't. So this is a great chance for you to kind of tune in and find out who he is and what he's doing and what he's got going on in the world. I hear he's got like at least 500,000 followers on social media. So and while we're waiting for Bobby to come here, we're going to talk to his 13-year-old son who's with us today. Is that you? Oh, wait, that's Bobby. Bobby shaved. He has no beard on. Oh.
13, eh? That's great. I was hoping for 39. So that's great.
Oh, that's good. That's good, buddy, right?
Yeah.
So you recently shaved your beard off.
Yeah, because my daughter is like, Daddy, I know you like your beard, but I also like your clean face. Can you shave your beard? And I say, look, I like my beard, but I'll give you some time and I'll shave it for you. Because, it's just hair. It'll grow back. So I'm happy to shave. So I agreed to shave it in the new year. But I told her I'll keep it off for a month, but I'm ready to grow the beard back again.
Daddy loves you, baby. I'm going to shave it off for 30 days.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, 29. 28, right?
Yeah. Now, if the wife said that, maybe I might change my mind. But she actually likes the beard.
2 weeks. Yeah. You get 2 weeks, honey.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's really great that you are honoring your daughter. That's something that speaks really well. Kids remember everything when we do stuff like that as parents. That when we take time out for them to honor them and to respect their wishes, it's pretty awesome. They don't always get their way, but you did something awesome for your child.
It's about finding things that I can do, right?
That's right.
I'm not going to do. Like you said, quit your job and move somewhere else. No, I'm not going to do that. But there's little things I can do to provide joy and fulfillment in their lives. And so shaving a beard is nothing.
No, it's pretty awesome. I mean,
except for you, it'd be a huge deal. But for me, it was a very short beard.
For me, it'd be really a conversation.
No, yours would be an event.
It's serious.
There'd be a Facebook event. There'd be a live stream.
I know everybody. Social media. We have 7 million people today.
Although it's funny when I actually shaved it off, the kids wanted me to do the same thing as last year when I shaved it off, which was to do different poses with it. So first they shaved off the middle to here, and I had like this kind of weird looking thing here.
Oh,
they shaved off my mustache, then I looked like the Wolverine. Then they did strips, and I post all that on Instagram. It was so funny because they just loved it.
Oh, that's hilarious! I'm gonna.
Yeah.
Oh, so totally. When this show airs, while you're talking, I'm gonna have those pictures going across. So that's gonna be awesome. I'm gonna have to do that for sure.
Awesome.
Sure. Oh, that's gonna be great. So, Bobby, you have been having the opportunity to speak to folks for quite a while. You're speaking anywhere and everywhere you can, and that's through social media, through stages. Events, clinics, workshops, and whatnot. Have you been doing that since birth? I mean, where have you come in life? Where are you at now? Where were you before? How'd you get to where you're at?
Yeah, before I was exploring a lot of different things. I always say that I was, in my first TED Talk, I talk about being a lost leader, and I was lost in terms of different careers. So I tried engineering, then I tried performing arts, I tried brand marketing, and nothing really fit. So the speaking thing happened about 10 years into my, was it 10, maybe 10, 12 years into my career. And when I really figured, okay, you know what do I really want to do? Where can I really find more fulfillment and joy in what I'm doing and impact with what I'm doing? Because I wasn't getting it in the other ones. I spent my whole life just trying to fit in. And, they say that, you're a square peg in a round hole. I was basically a dodecahedron that didn't really fit anywhere. And so it was very difficult to fit in anywhere. And sometimes now I still feel like I don't fit in. I feel like I'm just unique and different and oddball. But I've been doing it now for about 15 years.
15 years. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So did you go to, well, you said engineer. So did you come out of high school and go to college to be an engineer?
Yeah, so I did. So when I was in high school, I was a nerd basically. So math and physics and science and things like
You
that.
were a
Were
nerd, a guy who wants to be a math guy, engineer? No.
Yeah, exactly right. So I love chess and whatever, and so I did engineering at university in McGill, and then after that worked in McGill. It was interesting. I worked as an engineer actually for 4 years, design engineer, and while I was doing that job, I was actually bored. So on the side, I decided to start a musical theater company, started producing and directing musicals, and did that
So
for
wait,
almost.
let's back up. You're going fast. So
Yeah,
you were an engineer.
yeah.
Um, you kind of got bored with it, because it's boring doing all this engineer stuff.
Yeah.
And while you're doing an engineer, you figured you'd go like doing some song and dance and some.
Yeah, because I always had a musical theater background, right? So in high school, I was a musical theater guy. So even back in the day, I had this creative side and had this, analytical side, and they didn't merge. And so whenever I did those career searches, I get zero results because I was like you know, this crazy,
I'm
you know,
doomed. I don't know what I'm gonna do.
yeah, what am I gonna do, right?
A singing
So
engineer.
yeah, the singing engineer basically. And
Yeah.
so I was doing I was spending about 40 hours a week just doing running the musical theater company, growing to about 150 people over 4 years. So that was kind of interesting. And then when I left, I was like, now what am I going to do? And so then I did my MBA, decided to go into marketing because I thought maybe I'll do, because theater is kind of fun. Maybe I'll get into TV and film and do producing and management and that. But again, that never happened either, and I ended up where I am now, which is
That's just,
crazy.
yeah, that is crazy. It's a
Yeah.
neat map. It's, to me, it's always fun to see how God can have ways of directing our paths when we're thinking, I think I want to do this. No, I've actually created you to do this over here. I'm going to do this. Well, no, I've actually created you to, but everything you've done actually helps you to be better at what you're doing now. I think everything you
Yeah, I
probably
think I think
accomplished as an engineer.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. They all weave. Like, I still take the engineering that I'm a problem solver, I'm an analytical guy. I take the brand marketing stuff in terms of, connecting and influencing people. I take the performing arts in terms of, delivering a performance when I'm on stage. So yeah, they all build up to it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, are you more of an influencer speaker of that nature than you are necessarily as like a coach or a life coach or anything like that? You do more influential stuff, content creation, speaking.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think I probably do more of that than the actual coaching. I mean, I started doing speaking 15 years ago. The social media influencer stuff started when Twitter took off, probably around 2012 or 13. And I've been coaching people probably for the last 4 or 5 years. So it's been less. Although I still do it, and I still have I am doing now more programs because part of it's about scaling my business. Because when you speak, you get paid, but then that's it. And if you get
Right.
hit by a bus, and something happens, God forbid, my kids aren't going to be able to get revenue. So creating programs is what I've been doing to try to scale my business, which can be done even after I'm not able to do some of that stuff.
Right, absolutely. Which is
Yeah.
something I'm very passionate about, which is legacy. So
Right.
you really hit a strong one there with me. That yeah, it's so easy to think that you could go out and be a star. I mean, if anybody's talented and can speak and can hold somebody's attention, it's possible to get some gigs. But like you said, what happens if something happens? What
Right.
do you do there? I mean, because it's not like you can hand over the speaking business to the kids that don't speak or are total introvert and can't get in front of anybody. There's nothing to take over at that point, and then you've not done anything for anybody. You've just done it all for you basically at that point.
Right.
Yeah, so that's fantastic. You're able to do that. So you probably say on a percentage, are you like a 60-40, 70-30 when it comes down to that, or are you moving towards 50-50?
I
What
would,
you have a
hmm, I would say right now I'm more of a 80/20 because I'm trying to move the other ones to move the needle to more
80
balance.
speaking, 20 programs, or the
Yeah,
opposite way?
80 speaking, 20 program slash coaching. Like,
Gotcha.
so, but I'm trying to transition more to do the other stuff because speaking is great, and I love it. In fact, it's my favorite thing to do. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it's hard to do it. They're few and far between. Sometimes I go away, like when I go to India or Dubai or Poland, and that's 4 days away from my kids, and I don't like that. I'd rather spend more time with them.
Right.
So that's kind of my reason for also shifting as well, because the kids are
No,
young
no
and
doubt.
they're gonna be gone in 10 years, and then I'll be like, wow, how much time did I spend with them? I
What
mean,
happened with them? Then you can go speak all you want. Yeah.
yeah, then I'll be okay. Then I'll
So do
need
you want to try to
friends.
get to like sorry, I'm doing all the math stuff here. So do you think you'd probably feel more comfortable cruising in at a 50-50?
I haven't actually determined what the amount is. I'm not sure. I
Just a
think
real quick
that
blank. What would you think you'd feel comfortable at down the road? This is what you can hand off. This is a legacy box. What do you think it would? What do you think that magic number? I'm not holding you to it, but what do you think that magic number might be?
Um, well, in terms of where I spend my time or where the impact is, because what I would say to you is that where I'd want to spend my time is still doing far more speaking than the coaching and the programs. I'd rather have the programs and people benefit from it, but I'd certainly much rather be a Tony Robbins speaking on stage and doing that kind of stuff and doing the workshops as opposed to doing the one-on-one coaching. So,
Right.
but in terms of, the impact, I think that ultimately the coaching and online programs will have far more impact and reach more people than the speaking thing. But ideally, if all things are great, I'd still rather have 60-40 speaking versus the programs.
60-40. Yeah,
Yeah,
that sounds about right.
yeah,
Well, I consider I love speaking as well. Absolutely love it. But I'm really passionate discipler, so I consider speaking more evangelical, and everything else is more discipling. So you can throw all kinds of stuff out at people from the stage, and 10 minutes they walk away and say, uh
yeah,
what's that one thing he said? Or granted, there's people that are note takers and really dig into the stuff, but a lot of folks, they don't remember things very easily in our
sure,
culture, and kind of throw stuff away. So there's great benefit to being able to pour into people's lives and be able to really to give things to them that they're gonna toil, uh get the soil toiled.
right,
Tilled, that's what I'm trying to say. Till the
yeah,
soil, because
tell us
Lord have
all.
mercy. Yeah. So you've been doing that for quite a while, 15 years or so now, and you've had some folks that were kind of saying, "Hey, look, I think this is where you need to roll," and you kind of felt like you were no longer the square peg in the round hole, but you fit, and now you have an opportunity to move around. So I guess another question, I guess logistically, there's a lot of folks that are listening to the program today or watching, and some folks that may be new at this, or even a little bit into it and trying to figure out some things. What would be some tips to people that are trying, trying to meet?
Excuse me.
That's all right. Some folks that are trying to find event planners, meeting planners, organizers, or whatnot, to say, how in the world do I get heard? How do I meet people so I can get a speaking gig?
hmm Well, I think there's a lot of things that come into play. Number one is to know exactly what your speaker story and brand is, like who you are, what you talk about, why people would care about your message. That there's a whole story and brand around that piece. The second thing is to have the right marketing materials. So when I reach out to people, I have the one page, or I have the website, I have the video content so that people know where to see my stuff as a speaker. And then number three, a lot of people don't know how to pitch to people. They don't know actually how to write the email or what to say in it. What's the good subject line? How do you find? And then the fourth one is where are these people? Like when you're networking. So there's going to be a networking piece. There's going to be a social media content piece. Um, there's going to be a messaging piece, and you need to know where these people are in terms of how do you reach them when you like event planners, for example. Is there an event planner conference? Is there an event planner group? Are there event planners LinkedIn that you can go talk to? So these are all the things that you have to think about when you're trying to get a speaking. But it all starts back to the speaker story brand and what are your topics, right? What are your 1, 2, 3 topics that I will care about? Because if
Is
they're
there
just
too
like,
many topics do you have? So should you have a laundry list of stuff? Like, I can speak on, I have things I can wing it kind of. I don't want to say
yeah,
that, but I can
yeah,
wing it.
don't say you can wing it.
I
So
know, don't do that, folks. But
so
you know what I'm
so
saying?
just
I could go
yeah,
there,
yeah.
but I do have said topics, said things, right? So for somebody who doesn't even know what that is, so are you saying have maybe 3 to 5 topics with headline, sub headline as your
Yeah.
information to be able to share, or should it have like, I can do 10,000 things?
No, you definitely should have that, man. I mean, just to be frank, I've done I've been speaking for 15 years, and now I have 6 standard speeches, right?
Wow.
When I work with people, I say you should have 3. What's the 3? First, what's the one? But what's 3? And the 3, like for me, and even for me, the 3 they fit in a nice little triangle, right? It's for me, it's all about the power of connection, right? So my LinkedIn live should be called the power of connection. So personal branding, connection with the self, authentic connection, networking, connection with others, social media, digital influence, connection with the world. And so that's what I talk about for everything I do. So for the most part, that's my big 3. But I also encourage people to have just 3. And yeah, if you have too many, you're not going to get the hit. You're not going to have the focus. You're not going to have the impact that you want.
Right, because at that point, people think you're not clear on anything. You have too much,
Right.
and you're not a niche, you're not a brand, you're not somebody that speaks specifically on or to something, right?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And I've always had the trouble too of being like one of those jack of all trades, master of none. And so I never really felt I was excelling at one thing, and so I'd always do multiple things. And I still struggle with that sometimes, like I said, I have 6 talks that are my standard signature talks, but what are the 1 or 2 or 3 that I would do? I sometimes have trouble picking because I've had a very diverse life, and there are things that I want to talk about. And there's even new ones I want to talk about. Like, I talk about cyberbullying, talking about empathy and dealing with divisive behavior on social media. Uh, to me, it's a great thing that I talk about a lot, and I love using my empathy muscle to do so. However, my agent and my clients don't want that as a speech.
Wow. But that's really at the core of what you're really passionate about right now. You're like,
Sure, sure. I mean, it's one of many things I'm passionate, but it's one that I see as a great opportunity. Another one, of course, would be talking about my health journey, which has been good and bad and ugly. And so, that's another one. But again, my agent and other people I talk to say there's less of a market for that. There's more of a market for talking about LinkedIn or digital influence or authentic connection than there is talking about your health problems or talking about empathy and cyberbullying.
that's a big revelation, I think, for a lot of folks to hear today, because I think there's a lot of people that are very passionate about what they're passionate about, for sure. And not everybody is a marketer. Not everybody is a brand person or a LinkedIn person per se.
Yeah.
Heck, I talked to a lot of people today that think that LinkedIn's just for resumes still,
Oh
so
my gosh.
I know
Yeah.
it's amazing, but point is, there's a lot of different folks out there, and in my line of world, I get to reach a lot of people that are passionate about life and life events and of course health and all those things, and yeah, that's not exactly what everybody's wanting to hear, which you would think, why don't you want to hear? but I guess that's, you have a chance to do your podcast. You have a chance to speak your heart. It may not necessarily be from the XYZ stage for their event, but you get to speak your heart, which is good. So, I think some of the hope there and in Hope Revealed today is that even though you may have a passion to do something, you may have to do something else you're equally passionate about, and then use other means to speak your heart. It's not like
Well, and the good news is that, yeah, and that's why, social media is great because when I do videos or live streams, it's 80-20 rule. 80% is focused on the target of my main brand. The other 20% is whatever I want to talk about. And sometimes someone might say, you know what, I love what you did. So like, for example, someone said, I love when you talked about your diabetes and can you come in and do that? So I will go do it, right? It's still led to business. But it doesn't mean I'm always going to do it. But it was still nice. So even talk about the stuff outside also can trigger some really good opportunities.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, that you brought up a couple of things here. You did bring up diabetes, and I know that you had, here we are talking about health, right? And this is a great time to do it. So, there was some times in your life. Of course, this show is Hope Revealed, and we talk about some folks that have had some moments in their lives, and it may not have looked so good. And from our discussion before the show, you've had some moments like that. Would you care to share some of that with us?
You mean like start with the dark stuff first?
Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the biggest challenges in my life was trying to find a way to fit in, right? So I always felt lost and stuck unfulfilled in my life and my career. But there was a moment where I was working for my last corporate job. My wife and I started trying to start a family. We're having trouble, so we go to see a doctor. So that's the first thing. We can't. And so in December, I went to the doctor and having trouble with that. Meanwhile, we didn't know why. Then finally, and then in January, I had my first ever anxiety attack. I had a panic attack at work, which kind of floored me because I'm usually a pretty chill guy, right? And so I couldn't believe, wow, like what happened there? Like my heart was palpitating, my mouth was dry, it was kind of crazy. Um, and so that happened. And I was just overworked. I was working 80 hours a week, making money for a company, and helping them make millions of dollars for their brand, and that, which is fine and dandy, but like, where's my life? And
Yeah.
then the doctor said to me, we need to check something with your blood work, can you come in? And I didn't come in for 3 months. I was so busy, so overwhelmed, I didn't come through. So then 3 months later, I went in, they said, okay, you have diabetes. And a normal blood sugar level, this is in Canadian terms because they use different levels than the US. Normal level 6.2. Your fasting blood sugar was 12 in December, and now in March it's 16, and that's why you're feeling tired all the time and headaches, and now you can't. And at that point, I couldn't even work 80 hours a week anymore. I was getting so tired and exhausted. At 6 p.m., I would go home and just collapse.
Wow.
And then they said, you need to like get your life in order. And so I went to my company and I said, look, I need to take 2 weeks off. I need to get my blood sugar under control. Then I want to take my hours something normal. And I said normal was 50, but I like bring it down. And then 3 weeks later, they give me a package that said, see you later. Like
Wow,
basically,
that was sweet.
yeah, they didn't want me to be, I wasn't a problem. And it was a huge reveal, a huge like, whoa, like, and so like a lot of things were going really weird and dark and confusing. And then finally, 2 months later, my wife almost dies of E. coli. And
What?
it was just absolutely a crazy thing. I'm sitting
You were
there.
still unemployed at that time too?
Yeah, yeah. It was really, really odd. We took her to the hospital, and like what was amazing was that my brother just happened to be home. We went to my parents' house. She felt sick, and then we decided to stay over because she was feeling so sick. And then I went to a training session, and then my brother called and said, "Oh, I'm still home. By the way, I'm taking her to the hospital because she's feeling weak." But because my brother was so strong enough to carry her to the car, if he hadn't been there, because as soon as she got to the hospital, about 20 minutes later, she passed out completely and went into what's that called? Septic shock, right?
Holy smokes.
And then I'm there. I got to the hospital too at this point. I left the training session, and then the doctor comes, listen, can I talk to you? Sure. So your wife went into septic shock, and now we have her on life support. And I was like, this is like within an hour, right?
Your wife is on life support.
The life support. I was like, are you kidding me?
Oh my
Okay.
gosh.
What? Can you tell me exactly what happened? Like, she was headaches. And then they take me to the back, and you go to the emergency room. You know, like an emergency room where it's usually like a gigantic. It's like a very large room with like 10 curtains, right? And there's like 2 or 3 people with the curtain, with one person there or one person and their spouse or something. And then there's one curtain where everything's open, and there's my wife. There's blood all over her, her because they basically plugged a hole right into her artery to
Oh
get the
my
antibodies in.
Lord.
Yeah, and there's 5 doctors and health specialists on her, like trying to keep her alive and figure out what's going on. And I'm just standing there like, this is what is going on?
I just went to a conference.
Yeah. Yeah. No, because
I thought she was
we were
going
talking the night
grocery
before.
shopping.
Yeah, so it's just like it was so surreal
Horrible.
she was in ICU. She was in ICU for a week, and then in the hospital for another week. I took care of her for 2 months, and that whole 6 month period was just a really, really surreal, dark. I mean, dark in that like we didn't know what was going on, and we weren't sure what was going to happen. I almost
No
lost
kids at that point.
no kids at that point. So I almost lost her. Yeah, and it made us really think like, what's important in our lives? What do we want to do? Like, I had my anxiety attack. I had the diabetes. I was like, by the corporate. Didn't think I was going to fit anymore. She had that thing. And we're like, what do we want to do with our lives?
Yeah.
And it really made us think about like, what the heck is going on here?
Yeah. So that's all that stuff happened. So
Yeah.
oh my gosh. So what was the hope revealed to you? Was it space? Was it time? Was there a voice? Somebody shared something with you that was great advice, or what was that? What was that moment for you?
Yeah, so the hope reveal kind of came a little bit later because one was, she and I talked about how do we want to live our lives, what do we want to do, and I was like, you know what, I don't think I want to go back. Maybe I need to like figure this stuff out, and I started just doing like surveys and asking my friends and booking calls and just talk to people and stuff. And everywhere I went, people started saying the same thing, which was, I went to one of my mentors. He said, Bobby, you ever thought about doing public speaking? I'm like, yeah, no, I'm trying to make it in the corporate world. I want to become a director, that type of thing. He's like, okay, but I think it'd be good. You make an emotional connection. You're really good at talking to people. And then I talked to people in the industry, and they're like, "You ever thought about public speaking?" Because one time we were had an offsite for the marketing offsite, and you ran this team building event. And it was so good. Like you were just like on the ball, and you were like doing the stuff, and you related back to business, and you had great takeaways. And I'm like, no, I'm trying to make it big. I want to become the next vice president, CEO. And then finally, and then I finally went to my four best friends. I call them the council of Umar. My four best friends from university. I said, guys, here's what's going on. I'm not sure what I want to do. I don't want to go back, start all over. I'm not this didn't work out for me. I'm feeling a bit lost. And they're like, you ever thought about becoming like a speaker?
No.
And I was like, you know what? I have.
As a matter of fact.
Everyone's telling me this. And so then I sent out this survey to about 100 of my friends. I have a large network, right? So 100 of my friends, they all fill out, and they're all like, yeah, good idea, brilliant. Like, I was just asking for ideas of things I might talk about. And they're like, oh, you've been a speaker, a trainer, good idea. Actually, I know somebody. And they're like, boom, 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 boom. I was like, wow, okay.
So then.
I'm okay, I'm going to do this. Okay, you like convinced me, guys. Like, and that was over a period of 2 or 3 months. But by the time I like finished the survey and talked to my council, like, okay, I'm gonna be a speaker. Let's do this. Like I was convinced that was the light was like, oh, and I'm gonna do it.
So do you?
And I didn't have a plan. Didn't know what I was gonna do.
Yeah.
But I knew at that point. You know what? Everyone's yelling at me. The signs are all there to go do this. So it makes sense.
Might as well try.
Might as well try. Exactly.
So do you think that that getting let go from that job was a godsend then?
Absolutely. Like it's funny when it first happened too. The truth is, and I explained this part, I was on that job for only 8 months. But when I got the doctor's thing in March, he'd said everything started, your pancreas fell apart around November, December. So I've been on the job for about 7 months at that point. And so I went back to my employer and I actually kind of blamed them and said, look, everything in my life was the same, except now I work 8 hours a week. The stress level is really high. I had a panic attack. And now my pancreas has shut down and now I have diabetes. And so when they gave me that package, it was a nice package.
Oh, they were trying. It was hush money.
Oh yeah. It was like 6 months.
Oh my Lord!
And so that was a godsend in the sense that I'm
absolutely it took
using this to figure stuff out. Because then in the fall, about 4 or 5 months later, I took a program to help me design my business, and then I officially launched my business in January of the next year. So yeah, that was really great.
What a blessing. Yeah, that's really awesome then, how everything worked out. So
yeah.
Okay, so your wife's okay.
Yeah, she's good now. Everything's thriving.
And
yeah.
Do they know where she got this E. coli from? Was it McDonald's or something?
No, it turned out she had some sort of kidney function, kidney condition that led to something getting stuck in the urinary tract, which then led to the E. coli.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's just crazy.
Yeah.
And then you're balanced out now, I would assume. Everything's good to go?
Yeah. Everything's good now. Everything's good. We're all
awesome. Got kids now?
Got the kids 11 and 9, and yeah, no, it's wonderful.
All your friends are sending you back notes saying, I told you, I told you.
Yeah, exactly.
That's so awesome. What a great moment. So we talked a little bit a moment ago about legacy, about LinkedIn. So I want to do a couple of those things before we end the show here today. But you said you had kind of a platform here on LinkedIn. You have a podcast that you do, and what was the name of the podcast again?
It was just called the Power of Connection Broadcast.
Yeah, because that's something you're passionate about, which is connecting with people and having that connecting moment. So, is there kind of do you follow the same kind of a format? I've heard the show, I've commented before, but for those folks that don't know, what's the format of the show? How do you run that? Is it are you still you're doing your little triangle thing there on the show too?
No. No, I typically do it 3 to 3. I mean, I was doing it every day, but it got to be too much. So now I try to do it 3 times a week on Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 8:45 a.m. before the workday starts, that type of thing. And then essentially, I'll focus on topics around connection, leadership, personal branding, employee engagement, all the type of stuff that I love to talk about. But I also like to have people I interview. So usually I just share a story for 5-10 minutes, and engage people. Then I share some nuggets based on the topic. I usually target about 30 minutes. Share another 10 minutes of, here's my insights, here's my top 5 tips, or here's what I think about this topic, whether it's employee engagement or networking or personal branding, whatnot. And then people engage and ask questions. Look, you can ask me anything you want. So it's also the A&A, ask me anything you want. And that'll usually last 30 minutes, maybe 40 minutes. And then if I interview somebody, same thing. I'll usually focus on their topic because I want them to either complement what I'm talking about. If they're an expert in some area, let's dive into it. I'm a good host too, so I'll ask questions and try to dive into what they're doing, engage the audience. And we'll spend about 30, 40 minutes, having them share their story and their expertise for about 10, 20 minutes, and then intersperse with questions and answers. But usually 30, 40 minutes is usually what I go for. If it goes well, people are there and they're asking lots of questions, we may go as long as an hour, but usually it's around 30 to 40 minutes.
And that's live on LinkedIn?
Live on LinkedIn, yeah. So we do it live, whether it's I meet the person live in person if they're from Toronto, or if they're from somewhere where you are, we'll do it like this with 2 videos, and I'll use the software to help me do the online.
Right. Somewhere like God's country where I'm at. So that's just
Yeah.
say, yeah, North Carolina.
Nice. I just say you're south of me because I'm Canadian.
That's right. Yeah. Well, anybody like New York is south of you.
Yeah, exactly. You Southerners.
That's right. You crazy Southern. That's slow life down there.
You
in New
Southerner
York.
Michigan people. Come on.
It's crazy. So legacy is important to you, obviously. That's some of the stuff we talked about on the front side. To be able to have something that you could hand off, because I think that in a life where somebody is a speaker per se, and there's some folks out there, stories I've read in the past, that have married or have children, and they just go out and do their thing, and the wife and the kids take the back seat. Really, it may not be a upfront thing that they talk about, but it really is what happens. And at the end of the day, somebody has a heart attack or something happens or whatever, and then it's over. There's nothing left. So if some folks are out there, well, not if some, there are folks out there. If folks are out there now, starting in their own business, maybe they want to be a content creator or podcast or speaker. It's a totally different world we live in now. I mean, podcasting was just, it's a joke back in the day, and now I think podcasts are going to probably surpass radio eventually. Sorry, radio folks, but it's probably the way it rolls. What would be some advice you would give to folks to stay focused, to stay in line, to know where you could move into a place? Obviously, if they're married, if you're not married, it's still, chances are most people will eventually get married of some sort, and probably have kids. So how could you get into something with the mindset of legacy?
It's a good question. I mean, the first thing that comes to my mind when I look at my legacy is thinking about the top 5 regrets of a dying, right? So when you die, whether you're 80 or whether you're 40, what do you want people to remember about you? And most people regret, if I could sum it, the 5 regrets into 2 main themes. One is I wish I had had better connections and relationships with people that I really care about. And number 2, I wish I'd explored the grand diversity of this great earth and done interesting things. And so for me, the legacy is something that I think about in terms of what do I want people to remember me by. And but legacy comes in many forms. And it's not just the accumulation of the entire life that you have. Legacy is in the moment too. So I tell my kids every day when they go to school, I say, I love you, have a great day at school, have fun. But most importantly, I say, make people feel good. Because the best thing, it doesn't matter how fast you are, how smart you are, how strong you are, what your grades are, and what kind of success you have. If you make people feel really good, that is the greatest impact and legacy you're going to have on people. And so for me, as a business person, my legacy is how did I make people feel? Did I fulfill their hearts? Did I fulfill their impact? Did I get them to a place of greater happiness, joy, and fulfillment? And do they remember me for doing that? That is my professional legacy. The second legacy is really my kid, because my greatest legacy, journey, and story is being a dad and being a parent. Because the 2 of them, I may impact 1 million hearts, which is one of my goals as a business, but these 2 hearts, they're going to go on as hopefully global productive citizens of this earth. And that to me is my greatest legacy. So for me, they talk about work-life balance. It's really life balance. What are the things that I want to do? Well, there's work, and then there's my life. There's my kids, right? And so there's my work as a speaker and coach. There's my work as a parent, and then even as my work as a friend and a son and all that kind of stuff. But ultimately, that's the type of thing I think about legacy. So the other thing about legacy is that there's balance you have to find in the moment now, being present and mindful in the moment now, because that's also legacy. I could have a profound moment right now with you, with my child, that will fundamentally impact their life the rest of their lives. We all remember something that a guardian or an advisor or mentor or even a parent, that thing that happened when you were 5 or 10 or 12 or 20. And
Absolutely.
so maybe it's already happened for my son and daughter. I don't know. Maybe it's going to happen when they're 14 and 12. I don't know. But being mindful in each of those moments can have huge impact. So if you want to have legacy, legacy is about thinking long term. Legacy is about having that balance. And legacy is also about being in the moment to make sure every single moment counts for your business and for your personal life. That's what I
Yeah.
think.
No, that's so good. I think it's Emmylou Harris that said, was it Emmylou Harris? Emmylou, she says that it's not what you do, not the things that you accomplish, but it's the way you make people feel,
Sure.
right? The
Yeah,
same
yeah.
thing, same thing. And I think, I mean, I love that too. I want to be able to be a person that does that. And I'm a singer songwriter too, so I love
Nice.
music, and I would love to say,
I like
I've
singing
heard.
too. We should duet.
We do it, buddy. We gotta come
Yeah.
back. We'll do a live. We'll do a song together. It'd be awesome.
I'd love that. I'd love that.
People will be like, "What are they doing?" It'd be fun. It'd be so fun. But I've always heard, people singing songs, or people like, "Man, I wish I could sing like that." I say, "No, I just wish I wrote that song."
Right.
Because
Yeah.
there's some songs out there that are just so powerful, so amazing,
Yeah.
and I just think, man, I want to write a song like that. I want, not because of the money. I want people to be like, I can't
Remember you.
stop thinking about this song. That's right. It's a big part of your heart, right? So whether it's a song or it's a math problem or whatever, it's about.
And I should add that when you talked about legacy, you talked about hope and things like that. The other thing to keep in mind too is that every single one of us struggles and we go through difficult times, but it's always good for us to be mindful and to ask for help. Have the courage to ask for help, get feedback. There are people out there that will and can support you, and I think that that's ultimately one of a big lesson too for those of you out there who are trying to figure out how to become a speaker or whether they're trying to do something else. Don't settle for less. Find that moment, find that thing that's going to drive your passion, fuel you, and create that legacy and impact and joy that you want for your life.
Yeah, no doubt. You segued out pretty good on that part because I was going to
Did
go
I?
there. Yeah, that was good. Perfect. I didn't even have to ask the question. You must do this a little bit, I think, right?
Awesome.
Well, but Bobby, if people want to get a hold of you and to find out, some about your programs, maybe there's an event planner, a meeting planner out there that would like you, or maybe some really sexy guy with a nice long beard to come speak at an event somewhere. How could they get a hold of you? Well, he'll have a long beard here shortly in about another 15 days.
Sure. The best way is my website's called rayallen.com. That's where all my stuff for speaking is there, speaking and coaching. Then on LinkedIn, my main profile talks about everything from coaching, consulting, speaking. It's all there. I have a LinkedIn company page too. And then ultimately on social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all the different ones that are out there. My handle is Rayhan Bobby, my first two names. And that's where you can find me doing everything.
Got you. And those are probably all available at your website.
Yeah.
And that'll be magically now appearing at the bottom. It's magic now.
I love it.
As well as some extra shots of your beard look from Instagram. Yeah.
Yeah.
So cool. And you do your LinkedIn lives Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8:45 a.m. Is that
Right.
Eastern time?
Eastern time, yes.
Yeah, that's the time that everybody should be running on. It's Eastern time, 8:45 Eastern. So it's tough sometimes when you talk to folks like are in Australia and
Yeah.
Canada. So when you're trying to coordinate schedules, it could be rough when they're 12, 15 hours, or like some places in India, it's like 12 and a half hours. It's 30
Yeah,
minutes.
and sometimes I mix it up. Like sometimes I'll do it later because I feel bad for the West Coast folk. I feel bad for people in Hawaii that aren't getting it.
Yeah,
So it's nice to mix it up once in a while. 80-20 rule, right? So I just do 20%
that's right.
other times.
Because Bobby cares.
Yeah, I'm here to connect.
He cares
Yes.
to connect. See?
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being with us, Bobby. If there's one more thing you'd like to say on the way out to folks, what's that one thing you would say for 2020 for people that may be stuck, or somebody that's trying to get to the next place, or have been somebody where you were at before to where you're at? What's that one thing you'd leave us with today?
Well, it would be fight for your life, right? Fight for the life that you want. Fight for the love of your life. Fight for the career you want. Fight for the health you want. Fight for the impact you want. If you're not going to fight for your life, who will? And if you are willing to fight for your life and you ask for help, I'll help you fight it too.
That's fantastic. Thanks so much, Bobby, for being with us today. And folks, just like Bobby said, there could be some moments you go through some dark times and dark circumstances, and it could really seem crazy while you're going through it. But at some point, at some time in your life, there's always going to be a hope revealed. Thanks again for tuning in to Hope Revealed. For those of you that are listening, you can always find us at podbean.com, Spotify, iTunes, wherever you like to find your favorite podcasts. Make sure you like us, download us, and definitely share us. You can also find us at LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook to watch the video version. I hope today you found a hope revealed.